why don't people believe it when they are being given permission? Because some people hear that message, however the message is given, and they just don't believe it. They still continue believing whatever the opposite of that is, that I don't have permission.
The question is, from Thinking Focus.
So the question is, how do we create permission? Hi, I'm Ricky from Thinking Focus.
And I'm Rob from Thinking Focus.
The question is, from Thinking Focus, a podcast about how we sometimes get in our own way and what we can do about it.
Hi, Rob.
How are you doing? Well, that's an interesting question.
Well, we might want to set some context to that, haven't we?
Okay. So create permission within a team, across a business unit, within the organisation?
Yeah. Where my head's at is, in lots of organisations, people... there's inertia. People don't do stuff because they feel they lack permission, or lack the autonomy to just get on and do stuff. So quite often, as you will know, we've done it many times. We go into organisations and we ask some really simple questions and they go, oh, yeah, we're not allowed to do that. Yeah. Or, oh, we've been doing it like that for years, even though they know that it's wrong. Right. So my question very much is related to, how do we find a way of giving those people the permission to act? Right, okay. To take some ownership.
Which is interesting, because the reality is they probably do have the permission in the first place. Yes. It's just their perception that they don't. And that can be very subtle, because they might think that actually they're waiting for somebody else to make a decision and for them then to be told what that decision is. Yes. And at the junction that they get told, oh, that's when the permission has been given to me, because I've been tasked with doing something, so that's all right. But actually the reality is probably further, and that, for me, this would be a great source of frustration in an organisation, because the leadership, however that's described in an organisation, is probably waiting for all sorts of stuff to happen, thinking that, well, but of course they've got permission, they're supposed to be doing things right now. And yet the workforce, the worker bees, whoever they happen to be, are going, oh, we're just waiting to be told.
I'm kind of frustrated because every organisation we work with has this problem, this void, this imaginary void that has been created by the leaders going, just get on with it, and believing that that's true. Yes. And the worker bees, as you beautifully described them, waiting for some direction, some clarity, and also waiting perhaps for permission to step out of the norm, where they've just done it that way for so long. Sure. And we find this void exists just about everywhere we go.
Yes, yeah.
So how do organisations close that void, remove the void?
That's a very interesting question, and the answer, I think, is a myriad of ways, because there's some things that you perhaps need to get involved in that enable people to want to take permission in the first place, to understand what the environment or the context of that permission giving is, and to create a sense of ownership amongst people where they're looking themselves to go and do something. They want to go and solve problems, get things done. There's almost a creation of a dissatisfaction with the status quo. Yes. Yeah. So it's like, well, I'm doing this job and I've come across this blockage. Okay, well, we all know that blockage exists and it's a legacy issue from an IT point of view, for example. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll just find a workaround so that I can continue doing the thing that I was doing, because it's not mine to fix. Why should I get involved in attempting to fix that? Because it's not my job.
No. So they're kind of abdicating responsibility. I'll just do what I'm told. I'll just do what I think I'm expected to do. Yeah. And their intent is still that they will do what they believe is the right thing. Right. But it's just not necessarily. It's the difference, I suppose, between being efficient and doing something well than being effective, which is doing the right thing. Okay. And how many of our people in organisations are doing efficient work but not effective work? Right. And that, I think, is a really good question, because is what we're doing effective? And most people... Every organisation we go in, we'll talk about interference, and interference for us is those things that just get in the way of doing the job. Right. And they'll talk about that at 40 or 50% of the day job. And you're going, this is massive. This is huge. And that's the difference between doing efficient work and doing effective work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do we want? Efficiency or effective?
Yeah, well, and the answer is a bit of both, obviously. Because
we want to do the effective work, really efficient, don't we?
Yes, there we go, absolutely. So there's a question in that, I guess, that is about, so how do we create permission then? How do we get leaders to get the message across very clearly and very easily, so that people know that they're expected to do things, but also they're allowed to do things. And I mean, we've come across this where you sort of think, surely that can't happen. This blockage, this interference, and it does all the time. So, in fact, sometimes I've been surprised in some of the projects that I've been involved with, where you sort of go, well, surely the people working in this particular team, this project team or whatever, know that they're allowed to do this. You know, when you speak to their leaders, and their leaders go, yeah, of course they know. But what's getting in the way then? And it's a gap in perception,
assumptions,
it's a gap in communication,
beliefs,
absolutely.
Experiences. Last time we got involved, somebody shouted at us, so we're not doing that again.
Yeah.
And I suppose organisations can really focus on kind of 5 key foundations for this, can't they? Get the groundwork laid. So step 1 really is all about getting that clarity and purpose right. If they can understand what you expect of me, but most importantly, why.
Right.
So what is the burning platform, but also what are we trying to get to? What is that future state that we're trying to achieve?
Right.
So that in itself sets the context of direction of travel, and it also sets the context in terms of parameters of autonomy. Where can I get involved? Where can I poke the bear and disrupt some things for the better, not for the worse, of course. And essentially lay those foundations. What's really important for this organisation? What are we trying to be? But why? Get that purpose clarity out there as well. So clarity of what and clarity of why, really important.
Okay, so that's the first thing.
That's the first one, yeah. What else would we be looking to do?
Well, we'd be looking to make sure that we have the right sort of capacity amongst people, so that there's the if you like, the resource, the bandwidth, the right structures in place. You know, everybody's got the an ability to understand what they can draw on and what they can use to get the job or the business or the problem solved.
Of course, and organisations have spent lots of time becoming effective, and they've leaned out, removed unnecessary or what they believe is unnecessary roles or processes. It could even be legacy systems, whatever. Sure. So they've tried to get this as cute as they can. But what that does then...
impact on capacity.
...is restricts the capacity. And guess what? I'd love to get involved in doing some stuff. But where am I going to get the time? Where is that time to do the extra that you're asking me to do? So people's perception, belief, assumptions are... well, it's all well and good, but actually, we're not geared up for this. Yeah. And organisations are brilliant at layering on project after project and expecting them all delivered on time, on budget, even though they don't have the capacity to do that.
Sure.
And of course, how does that affect permission? Well, I'd love to get more stuff done for you, become more effective, but can I finish this lot first?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
So what else? What else would we need to think about in terms of foundational stuff?
So in terms of
create an
foundational
environment
stuff,
for permission.
Well, it's actually making sure that we've got a good essence of collaboration amongst people as well, so that there's an essence to people understanding who they can draw on, how they can draw on those people, who's involved in the whole end piece, and coming back to your effective and efficient, effectively collaborating. So we're not working against each other, we're working with each other to get the thing that we're supposed to do.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, am I being unrealistic here? So, that for me, that would be another part of the foundation, to make sure that we have effective methods of and awareness of the collaboration required to get things done.
Yeah, because we've got to feel that if we are prepared, to take ownership, to be empowered to go do some stuff. We kind of need to know that the rest of the system, the organisation, is going to support that, as opposed to every time I step across the game line to get involved in something, I just keep getting buffeted by others in the business or external elements to that. So I think collaboration is really important.
Right.
But I think there's also capability as well. So capability is more than just have we trained them, do they have the right knowledge? It's going, have we created the right mindset, the cultural dynamic to want to take permission? Have we created an environment where not only do I have the tools, but we have got the infrastructure for people when they do take permission, that they can actually do something impactful with it.
Yeah.
So I think capability is a really important part of that.
Well, and even at its basic level, it's about, do we have the right skills and ability, in the right place in the organisation?
Right people doing the right things at the right time.
Yeah. So because that's all got to, at its basic level, that's all got to play into capability as well. So that sort of leads us really all the way through to, and it's hand in glove with permission.
The most important one.
Which is commitment.
Yeah.
So, how do we instill amongst people involved the commitment to do the right things at the right time, in the right way? And part of that is motivation. So they feel that they want to be committed to it. But I think another part to that is actually them having a full understanding of all of those foundations, putting that together to have permission to commit themselves to doing the thing that is required to do.
And the other side of that coin is that the leadership, the management, are committed
themselves
to this process. So when people take permission, they are rewarded or celebrated for taking that permission. They might get it wrong, in which case, how do we learn from that? How do we help them to make different decisions going forward?
Yeah.
So I think absolutely individuals need to be committed and be prepared to take permission. Stop waiting to be asked. Get on with it.
Okay.
But leaders have got to back that up if that's a behaviour that they want.
Yeah.
Because I think, if you don't create permission, we end up with a void. We end up with inertia, neither of which is about building an effective organisation.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I think that intrigues me about all of this is, why don't people believe it when they are being given permission? Because some people hear that message, however the message is given, and they just don't believe it. They still continue believing whatever the opposite of that is, that I don't have permission. But how can we deal with that? How do organisations deal with that effectively when people just don't sign up to it? They don't believe that they can.
That's a really interesting question. I'm not sure we've got enough time to answer all of that on this particular podcast. But I think in principle, people will fall into three typical groups. So you've got one group that are going, finally.
Yeah.
And they've probably been taking permission already, whether they realised it or not. They've just been getting on with it. And then you've got people at the other end, as you described, those that are kind of going, I don't believe it. And that is probably born out of experience. It's probably born out of belief systems. It's born out of the fact that last time we did this, we got criticised, or we got guided in a different direction when we tried to fix something or move something forward.
Yeah.
And then you've got this group in the middle that are literally waiting to see how this plays out.
Okay.
So if we can leverage the first group that are up for it and want to do that, and start to help the middle group make some make some different decisions. So involve them in some of those things that these guys are taking ownership's commitment towards improving, moving forward and becoming more effective, then I think over time, through a series of softly, you'll get people culturally to move towards that. But if you choose to focus on the group at the end, then guess what? You'll just keep repeating void, inertia, ineffective, inefficient.
Yeah. Well, plus the people that are in the middle ground, as you described it, are probably likely to see all that attention being given to those people
Absolutely.
potentially causing trouble by not doing the things that we want them to do, and go, oh, okay, then, well, so that's what the dynamic in this organisation is then. So they'll still continue to have that inertia, or they might even go down and do less than they were
reward
before.
And celebrate those that are taking ownership, that are grasping the nettle of permission and helping to move your organisation and close that void, because these are the people that are moving you forward.
Yeah. So this is actually not just about how do we create permission. This is about you really do need to create permission because it makes good business sense.
It is costing you.
Yeah.
Without a perception that I have got permission to act, a belief that I can take some ownership and responsibility to fix some stuff around here, then you leave the rest of it to chance, and you leave your organisation with a void, however big, and you lead your organisation with inertia.
A very good business case to create permission. All right. Thanks, Ricky.
Thanks, Rob.
Next time on The Question Is.
What if you brought somebody in from R&D to talk about the deal that you're trying to do? What if you brought somebody in from customer service to talk about the deal? What if you brought somebody in from marketing? Because actually, whilst they might not get involved in the negotiation that goes on in the sales process, they'd have a really good view on what we're offering and how it might impact the customer and how it might impact us.
To find out how Thinking Focus can unlock the potential within your organisation, go to www.thinkingfocus.com, where you'll discover more about the work we do, helping our clients increase productivity and enable change.